You're listening to the Yadidaleague podcast, sponsored by Metamucil. And now your host, Reedy.
Put the cats away, damn it. Hello and welcome to the Yadidaleague podcast. I'm Nick Reedy, and this is our first podcast of the 2018 season. And ladies and gentlemen, it's mostly gentlemen, but ladies and gentlemen, week one is approaching, but we have some more important things to get to. Let's get to our weekly recap.
The weekly recap.
Now, it's more of a yearly recap, as in last year. Let's go over the championship. And who is your champion? It's Rocky. Check them stats! Champion! Now, he was checking his stats all season. He was having his opponents check stats. He was checking stats for him. The stats were being checked by everybody. And I'll tell you what, Rocky, he brought it in the playoffs. Let me break this down for you. Okay, this is a championship match where he beat me. God damn it. 163.5 to my 99.2. 99.2 is okay, but it's not good. You don't deserve to win. And I put that on myself. That is my fault for drafting a bunch of bums. But let's get to Rocky's team. You're saying, how did he score 163.5 points? I want to know. Can you tell me? Yes, I can, because it's freaking Todd Gurley. Was Todd Gurley the 7th? Something like that. 118 rush yards, 10 receptions for 158 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns, equaling 53.6 points, more than half of the points I put up that week. And just so you know, so you could just hold this in the back of your mind, you know how much Rocky paid for Todd Gurley last season? $28. $28 freaking dollars for the best running back in the league. Amazing. Rocky's season, I mean, he got into the playoffs at 8-5, ranked as the lowly 5th seed. Nobody was giving him respect. Everybody said, Rocky's full of shit. His team's a pretender. I'm not checking those stats because you know what? He's 8-5. I'm not scared of him. Well, you should have been. Let me break this down for you. Rocky, 5 seed, playoffs, going against Mohamed Montgomery, puts up 165 points to Mohamed's 121. Next week, he faces Abdullah Akbar, legend in the Yadidaleague. This guy never loses. Well, he lost this time, 126 to 109. Rocky continues to the championship where he faces me, where he put up 163 points to my 99, with a playoff total 454 points scored against 329. That is decimation. That is just dropping a nuke on your opponents in the playoffs. I don't know. It was filthy. Parental advisory suggested or maybe even required when you're looking at these stats that Rocky put up. So congratulations to Rocky, the champion of the Yadidaleague 2017. Round of applause. Champion. Moving on. Continuing our weekly recap. We had a huge fucking draft last week. And a few new members to the league here. We had longtime member Rick and the Razorbacks out. Pat and the Jimmy Jesus in. Justin could not make it into the draft because somehow the app didn't work. So we got Hunter to replace him. So we got new members Pat, Hunter. Let's have a good year, fellas. Let's see how this draft went. Oh, our first big storyline of the draft, I guess it was maybe the last one because it wasn't clear to the end. I call it Rockygate 2018. Rocky, fresh off a championship, thinking he's hot shit. Maybe had one too many, wine coolers. Sitting around with $25 after he drafted his entire team going, wait, can I drop players? Can I want to trade players because I filled out all my roster spots. I have $25 left. What the fuck am I doing? It doesn't need to be said that at that exact moment, we all lost approximately 65% of our respect for Rocky. But hey, he's a champ. He could get it back. Maybe he doesn't. Who cares? But it is a funny story in the storied history of the Yadidaleague. Rockygate 2018, leaving $25 on the board. We'll get into what that $25 could have got him, but let's go over some of the top dollar picks in this year's 2018 auction draft, we had, I'm going to struggle to say this correctly, Garopolis, the Garopolips. I'm just going to call it Garo. Garo paying $72 for Todd Gurley. We had Jimmy Jesus, $69 for Lev Bell. I love that. $60 for Antonio Brown, Coach J.E. $59 for Ezekiel Elliott by Rob and the Domestic Disturbance, something like that. $58, DeAndre Hopkins going to Coach J.E. And then what do you know? Another top wide receiver. Now this guy, Coach J.E., he's got a boner for them wide receivers. He's just sitting there with a half chub. Each time he sees a wide receiver pop up, I can't help it. I got to draft him. He's a top receiver. Odell Beckham Jr., $55. So that makes Antonio, DeAndre, and Odell Beckham Jr. all on Coach J.E. Infamous Coach J.E. You're freaking kidding me. Garo, $55 for Alvin Kamara. Saquon Barkley, $55 for the Mohamed Montgomerys. And I gotta say, this is considering everything that's gone before, this is a hell of a bargain. $54 for David Johnson going to the Check Them Stats. Let's get into some value picks. Now, we just saw this guy the other night, 2 touchdowns. Jay Ajayi going to the Jash Cash Stash. What is his team name? He's the Abdullah Akbar. That's right. I think he might. Oh, he changed it to the Jack Doyle Rules. Moving on. Mike Evans for $30 for Mohamed Montgomery. Now, that could be a terrible pick, or it could be a great one. It depends on who's throwing the ball for Tampa Bay. And if it's some loser that isn't Jameis Winston, who is also a gigantic loser, it might be a rough sledding for Mike Evans. Moving on. $13 for Derrick Henry by the Forte-inch Didkas. Royce Freeman, $20 for Jimmy Jesus, a starting running back for $20. Kirk Cousins for Amiga, $3 by the Garos. Tommy, freaking terrific, going for $9 to Rob. That is a great purchase. I love that purchase. Tommy Terrific, $9. You take that. Lamar Miller, $13. You might say, it's Lamar Miller. Why are you excited? He's going to get some volume. He might get some touchdowns. He's in a great fantasy offense. We'll see how it turns out for Hunter and the Brain Donors. Jaguars defense for $3 going to Coach J. Best defense on the board, you got to say, right? What's $3? Rocky left 25 on the table. So what? Check them stats. Speaking of Rocky, combining Pierre Garçon and Robert Woods for a combined $5. That is a value pick right there. That's why he won the championship. Value. Todd Gurley, $28. Let's see if it works for him this year. And I gotta say, I had a value pick in there. Tight end, Kyle Rudolph. He's kind of a piece of shit, but he's my piece of shit, and we'll see how it works. Let's get in to now that we've finished the draft, let's move on. Thank God. I want you to be sitting in front of Red Zone with your coffee, your blunt, whatever it is you do. Put on the Red Zone, and we got some Week 1 matchups for you.
The Weekly Preview.
Leading things off, I'll go with my matchup. I'm taking on Rob, Domestically Disturbed. This one projected for me to win, 111.3 to 109.9. But that's only because my Eagles defense got me 10 points, and the projection didn't give them 10 points. So now I am winning because of that. This is going to be a close matchup. Rob's team looks good this year. Let's take a look here. Tommy Terrific versus Houston. Ezekiel Elliott versus Carolina. And Joe Mixon going to take a huge step this year against Indy. Now for me, I mean, this is partially intentional, but it's kind of, I don't know how I feel about it. I got a bunch of guys on the same team facing each other. I got Phillip Rivers and Melvin Gordon going against Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill and Boudicca, the kicker. If that's even how you say it. They're playing each other. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm conflicted. I just want this game to be 60 to 59. Even 69, I'll take that. So that one, going to be a close matchup. Let's move on to our next one. The CTE Brain Donors versus Mohamed Montgomery. Fierce rivalry. Let's look at the projections. CTE projected 97.7. Mohamed Montgomery projected 96.4. And they already had some action in this one in that sloppy fucking Falcons-Eagles game. Freeman, 6.5 for the brain donors. And Matty Ryan, this guy's so good. He's great. 8.8 points for you in week 1. Oh my God. You got to do better than that if you're Matty Ryan. Come on. But there's still games left to be played. In fact, we got CTE's got Drew Brees going against Tampa Bay. LaShawn McCoy versus Baltimore. Montgomery's got Saquon Barkley versus Jacksonville. That's going to be a gigantic test for Saquon. Dalvin Cook versus the 49ers and their patchwork defense. And the Bears defense against Green Bay. Now, I know Khalil Mack going there is a big deal. You really want to take on Green Bay? We'll see if that changes. That might change between then and now. Let's take a look at our next matchup. Like I said, that one projected has the brain donors winning. Flip this over here. It's a piece of paper. You ever use a piece of paper these days? I don't think so. I do. Garo going against, this is the Jimmy Garoppolo matchup here. We got Garo Garoppolips. God, I can't even say that shit. Versus Jimmy Jesus. Garo projected to win this one, 117.8 to 106.4. He already had his kicker go, Jake Elliott, getting him 4 points. Wow. Garo still's got Kirk Cousins versus San Francisco, Todd Gurley versus Oakland, and the Gronk versus Houston. Jimmy Jesus, McCaffrey versus Dallas, Thielen versus San Francisco, and Royce Freeman versus Seattle. That one's looking like it's going to go Garo's way, but Jimmy Jesus might have something to say about that. Moving on to the 40-inch Ditkas versus the O'Doyle rules. Jack Doyle rules, I guess it is. Ditka's projected for 112, Doyle for 119.6. Julio already getting Doyle 25 points and Matt Bryant getting him 7 points. So this one, Forte is going to have to depend. Aaron Rodgers versus Chicago. He's also got his teammate Devontae Adams. Got the connection there. I like it. He's also got Derrick Henry versus Miami. Doyle, he's got Deshaun Watson versus New England. That's going to be a hell of a game. Leonard Fournette versus the Giants, and Amari Cooper versus the Rams. Like I said, Doyle projected to win this one, but as we all know, projections are full of shit, and especially ESPN's projections. You guys smell that? What is that? Oh, it's our matchup of the week.
The matchup of
Yes,
the
our
week.
matchup of the week has the champ going against the coach. Check them stats against Coach J.E. Excuse me. We have this one, a projected winning of 110.5 for Coach J.E. over Check Them Stats 105. That's because Check Them Stats already had Zach Ertz go get him 7.3. Not a great outing for Zach Ertz. Stats, looking at Matty Stafford versus the Jets, David Johnson versus Washington, and Keenan Allen versus Kansas City in that game that I basically have everybody except Keenan Allen and Travis Kelce. Coach J, he's got Cam versus Dallas, Antonio Brown versus Cleveland, all his other wide receivers, and he's got the Jags going against the New York Giants offense. So we'll see how that turns out. Projections have Coach J.E. winning. We'll see if the champ can make it 1-0 to start the year. But that's all we got for you this week. Hope you enjoyed it. This has been the Yadidaleague Podcast. I'm Nick Reedy. Hope you all have a good week. You freaking losers.